Your pal, it's Mike Messier discussing Sunday NFL Day in America, which used to be, for a lot of guys like myself, just typical Joe Average, Joe Fuckhead, Joe Schmuck, Joe Humble, America. Watching TV on a Sunday afternoon, plopping down on the couch or the chair, watching sports for hours on end, mostly football. If there happen to be, some crossover to other games of interest and other sports, perhaps. But Sunday was always sports day in America, dominated by the NFL. But we've all seen that these ratings are going lower and lower. And why is that? The NFL or defenders of the NFL, if there are any, which there are, would say that because people have more programming choices, you have more entertainment choices, you have Netflix, you have your computer, people are watching the updates, blah 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 on their computer or the internet or whatever the fuck, or they're streaming, or they're just not watching traditional TV. And I do think there's something to be said for it. But as we cross over this beautiful bridge coming up with perhaps a view of the ocean, you won't just have to look at my smiling face. We can discuss other reasons why people are not watching the NFL, specifically that male demographic who's always, you go back to the movie Poltergeist, I believe 1982 or 83 or even 81. I want to say it was 83, Poltergeist. The guy is like watching his TV, watching NFL football, and the neighbor's like switching the channel to PBS or whatever to watch Sesame Street, because they've got the same radio wave for the remote control. And I believe it's Craig T. Nielsen, also who played Coach, who's getting very frustrated because he's trying to watch his football game in the middle of the movie Poltergeist. And that's kind of the stereotypical American guy watching football. It means so much to him. Why? Various reasons why people don't give a flying fuck anymore about the NFL as much as they used to. Not that they don't care, but not as much as they used to. I don't know if I want to do the letters thing, but let's just try it. One reason is fantasy leagues, fantasy football, and so on and so forth. Now, this is what my thought process is. I think fantasy football, which actually came from fantasy baseball, which came from what was originally called rotisserie baseball, which, yes, was based on the fact that the guys who started rotisserie baseball leagues, or rotisserie league baseball, whatever the fuck, actually met at a restaurant that served rotisserie chicken. So when people wonder where this fantasy football came from, it actually came from baseball, which came from a chicken restaurant that these assholes ate at. And those guys have a whole ESPN story about them, the rotisserie baseball guys, which I got that little tidbit of information. Now then, what happens when people start betting in fantasy leagues for certain players to do certain things during the course of the game? I've never played fantasy league anything, okay? But my theory is, based on the friends that I do have friends that do this stuff, you start finding yourself less inclined to root for a specific team and more inclined to root for results or statistics or individual players, or you worry about how your guy's going to do, and so on and so forth. So your emotional investment in the game of football is either split one way or the other, but it's divided between your like, hey, I'm a Patriots fan, or I'm a Giants fan, or a Redskins fan, or a San Francisco fan, or Minnesota Vikings. But you don't just blankly root for that team anymore, because you want your team to do well, but you don't want the linebacker to do as well as the linebacker of this other team. Or the quarterback. You don't want your quarterback to score 4 touchdowns because he's not your quarterback in your fantasy league. So suddenly, your emotional investment, you could make a case that it's increased because now you're betting and you have a bunch of money on the line at the end of this thing, and you have to pick your guys week to week or whatever the fuck. Or you could say, what it's really doing, it's lessening your emotional investment in a pointed, focused reason to watch, which is one team to win the fucking game, okay? Now look, in my lifetime, I've probably bet on a dozen or less football games, and none for big time money, all right? So, believe it or not, I'm the type of football fan that when I do watch football, I like just watching the game. I actually like watching the combat. To me, it's like a little war. If you think about it, and then this is my analogy, football is a war, and the ball represents a fallen soldier that you're trying to bring home to your end of the battlefield. Now, that might sound out there, but if you think about it's a little war game, and you're trying to bring the ball, which represents, Private Ryan or whoever the fuck, and you're trying to bring them home. Okay? So that might make football more enjoyable for people. Now, the other thing is, I don't know if you saw the bridge or not. We got another bridge coming up. It's back to back. I just went through the Easy Pass, and there's a motherfucker who was working at the goddamn, the fucking toll bridge in the Easy Pass line, and he's sitting there with his fucking hands up. I wonder if the guy even has like a radio or anything. Or just does he read? Is he allowed to read? Or do you just sit there? Anyway, there's a red helicopter in the air. That's a little daunting. Next point. So the whole thing is, people might say, oh, I watch football all the time now because my fantasy league. And I have to know what players to draft. Well, maybe. But you're not really as emotionally invested, and you're not paying attention to the game out of enjoyment. You're paying out of statistical hunting. Okay? Next thing. And we know the whole big story, but I'm just going to give you a little sidewinder story. Today, I was at home, and NFL started at 1 o'clock, and it was just some random game. And they went, it's Veterans Day weekend. Yesterday, I believe, Saturday, November 11th, was official Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans. And so the NFL does their Veterans Day, gloss. They do like a 2-minute tribute. And it was almost, I don't want to say it was insincere, but it felt insincere. And it felt like they're trying to lecture me, the viewer, about what it is to be an American, or what it is to be patriotic, or what it is to respect the troops. And I just don't want to hear it from you, NFL, right now, okay? Because in this little montage, they're saying, we all have to come together. We all have to do this. We all come together as one. It's like, come on. Get off your goddamn high horse, NFL. Because you're totally divided. You're totally split. They're putting over the military. Of course, the big elephant in the room is, this original Kaepernick thing was, Colin Kaepernick was to kneel to protest police brutality, which is not even the military. But a lot of people clump military and police together. Anyone in a uniform is the same. So I'm not making a stand, so to speak, one way or the other on the debate, or free speech, or this or that, or who should control who. But I'm just saying that for this 2-minute video, it comes across to me as condescending, insincere, ironic, and I just don't want to hear it from you right now. I mean, I think the thing to do, not that I'm ruling the world or anything, but I should, with these debates and these protests and so on and so forth, it's just gotten so convoluted and so messy, so to speak, that perhaps the move to be was just not to play the anthem anymore. For this year at least. Like, hey, if we're going to have people kneeling and in the locker room, and I think it was the Steelers where one guy came out of the locker room and he was in the tunnel standing there, and then he apologized for that, and people are mad because he apologized. If you're going to have all that stuff going on, and the real issue of police brutality in exceeding numbers against African Americans is being, ignored or trumped, so to speak, out by a different topic. I don't want to say a bigger topic, but a different topic. Now we don't even know what the topic is. Is it freedom of speech? Is it freedom of protest? Is it freedom of speech to protest, but not on our dime? Is it losing advertisers? Is it losing Papa John's and his garlic sauce? What the hell is going on here? Why play the anthem at all? Why not just say, hey, look, we don't want to disrespect the anthem, so we're not going to play it. Back in the day, and people go, oh, you can't not play the anthem. Well, back in the day, people used to play the national anthem before a movie theater movie, okay? They don't do that anymore. So I'm not trying to be anti-American. I'm just saying, is it more American, more patriotic to simply not play the song, the national anthem, before the sporting event? If you're going to disrespect to some people by kneeling or by whatever, then why play it? Okay? Because yet they haven't figured it out. It's been going on for almost 2 years now, and they haven't figured it out. Now, the guy who started all this, Kaepernick, is not even playing. And now he's suing. And good for him if he wants to sue. But all that stuff, as you can see, here I am, Joe Football Guy, fan, and I'm not even at home watching because my emotional investment is diluted. Next point. Dish networks and so forth, when you can watch all the games in the league at the tip of your fingers, or you can... there used to be a channel through Dish Network or cable where you could watch like 4 channels at once on the same screen. I think that may be passé now, or NFL Network. That individual has an interesting walk over there. But the thing is, I don't know what to say. I think sometimes when you give people too many choices, they don't want to choose anything. Okay, another one of my videos, museuming. If you cross-reference this video, if you take the time to do that, museuming, when you go into a store and there's too much stuff and you don't want to buy anything, is you feel like you're in a museum, not in a store anymore. I think with the NFL, when you give people 20 games to watch over the course of the weekend, oh, we've got all 20 regular season games this weekend, right? It's not 20, it's maybe 10 or 12 or something over the course of the weekend, or maybe, I don't know, how many games are in a weekend? 14, and then a couple more during the week? Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football? You give people too many options, they don't choose anything. You can watch all these different games. Just show me the home team and a team from like the next state over. Like, I'm in New England, let me watch the Patriots, let me watch the Giants. That's all I need. If I'm in D.C., Virginia, let me watch the Redskins and I'll watch the Eagles. If I'm in Pennsylvania, I'll watch the Steelers and I'll watch the Eagles. You get the idea. You don't need to like give everybody every game, because then it's just like, then your attention's diluted, okay? The other thing, the gameplay has changed. It's not as good. You can say what you want about the steroid era in sports, football and baseball predominantly, but I don't know if you can say now that the athletes now, no offense to them, because they're still great athletes, are they the Emmitt Smiths? Are they the Bo Jacksons? Are they the Joe Montanas? Only, there's tons of great athletes. We could name them all day and night. Tom Brady and everybody else. But are we going to say that these guys are as hard-assed or whatever? Or even the guys from the 70s, okay? You talk about your Dick Butkus. You talk about your, Lyle Zato, probably jacked up on all types of... foreign objects in his body system, okay? There's a whole ESPN doc about him. Yes, Lyle Zato. So, yeah, I mean, you can say, well, they drink protein shakes now, they don't take steroids. Maybe. Hits. Look, we don't want these guys to get concussions and get hurt. But I didn't even see the movie. I know the point of the movie, the concussion Will Smith movie. And people think about that a little bit, gets in their system. Oh, these guys are really getting hurt, and they're getting brain damage, and Junior Seau committed suicide? I'm not even the world's greatest NFL fan, and I know this stuff. And this stuff builds up with time. Okay, these guys get hurt, they get injured, they get concussions, and they kill themselves, or they kill someone else. Concussions. Then you talk about personnel conduct. Personal conduct. Personnel conduct. Okay, any way you want to put it. I'm saying both words. Yes, personnel, meaning the players, and personal, meaning their own personal business, conduct. And Ezekiel and all these guys, I'm having a hard time pronouncing some words today, and there's reasons for that. But Ezekiel, and everyone who have these issues with beating women or accused of beating women, or what's his fucking dick, with the dogs, okay? And we want to say, these are guys you got to pay, $200 to go to the stadium and see these guys. Or you got to sit there for 4 hours and watch TV. You got to read about Michael Vick and his dog hunting or his dog fights. So that's another thing, personal conduct. Now look, just to clarify, the woman abuse is the number one most serious thing. That elevator thing, I can't remember the player, but 2 or 3 years ago with the elevator abuse and just disgusting. And then people say, well, how come you suspended that guy for 1 game and you spent Tom Brady for deflating balls for 4 games? So if you point out that painful irony to, an NFL fan, well, beating up a woman doesn't affect your game or doesn't cheat. It's not in the confines of the field. Okay, fine. But for the average fan, thinking about that makes them think, oh, so it's more important that they don't deflate the football to their liking than beat up a lady in an elevator? So that's another turnoff. So you have these major turnoffs. People worry about the players' concussions. If you ever have any sense of humanity and you start seeing your favorite players killing themselves or having concussion problems or whatever the fuck, then you feel a little guilty for watching. The second thing is, if you're supporting these guys who are millionaires and blah, 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 and they're beating women or beating dogs or whatever. Was there a guy who beat a kid a few years ago? Who beat up his son? I think there was. Then you have that. So people don't want to support people that they think are fucking assholes. Okay? That's another thing. Too many choices, too many games. You're giving me too many choices, so I don't want anything. That's another thing. That's 3 major things. Concussions, personal conduct of players, too many choices. Number 4, the flag issue, the kneeling, the disrespect to America or the military and the police. However you want to phrase it, I'm not taking a stand. I'm not criticizing the kneeling. I'm just saying that's a turnoff for some people, for a lot of people. I don't think anyone's watching more NFL football because they want to see guys kneel, okay? No one's attracted to that. No one's saying, I'm going to turn on the game because these guys are kneeling and protesting the man. Nobody's doing that, so it's not helping, so it's hurting. What else? The gameplay, I guess that's 5. I've lost track. It's the athletes are not as good. The steroids, yeah, you can even say this. If you can say all these steroid busts and steroid controversies, that gives another, mark against the league. People don't like that. They think that they're watching cheaters. Okay, talking about cheating. Yeah, even the Patriots. I'm a Patriots fan, but yeah, if people in other markets or even here think that, wow, Spygate, Deflategate, Gate, all this stuff is helping the Patriots win 5 Super Bowls over the last however many years, 10 or 12 years, then yeah, people are upset. 16 years. People are upset because they think that a cheating organization is benefiting from cheating, and so why should they root for the Minnesota Vikings or the Green Bay Packers, who aren't involved in these cheating practices, as far as I know, unless I'm forgetting something, if the cheaters are going to win somehow. So that's a mark, okay? What else? A lot of stuff. The movie Any Given Sunday probably didn't make a big difference one way or the other, but it did tap into some of these things way back when in 97. 20 years, it's pretty long. I mean, that just goes by fast. Great movie. That movie's great. But I mean, if you watch that movie, Any Given Sunday, a lot of the topics I'm discussing are examined in that movie. 20 years old that movie is, with the great Oliver Stone editing and so forth and so on. My opinion is that Any Given Sunday did what Natural Born Killers wanted to do, okay? Well, that's not a movie rant, I'm just sidetracking. Getting back to the original track. The abuse of women, did I mention that in this list? I mean, I'm just rehashing every damn thing. But people don't want to support millionaires who they think are fucking assholes. The fantasy leagues and so on and so forth just dilutes your emotional energy into this. And people are discovering that there's more to life than spectator sports. We can all be the old man watching TV, but if you get out and enjoy the sun once in a while, you can do your own damn thing. So people don't want to just sit there and watch other people anymore. It's a great game to watch. It's, but at the same time, you have these guys are fucking millionaires who are fucking beating up their wives, or they cheat, or they take steroids, or I want this guy to win, but not this guy to win, or this guy to throw so many touchdowns, but not too many. It just takes away and dilutes from, Sunday afternoon football. So henceforth, that is why the NFL is losing the emotional investment of the common fan, okay? So I don't know if I missed anything, probably did. Oh, the headhunting thing, New Orleans Saints. Right, here we go. Get this. New Orleans Saints finally win a Super Bowl. I think their first one, if I'm not mistaken. Finally get to a Super Bowl. And I think it was the second Super Bowl they got to, and the first one they won. And what's this, 2009? And, you know, it was a legit 4 or 5 years after Hurricane Katrina, but still, people try to play it off like it was right after Katrina, which it wasn't. And Drew Brees and blah, blah, blah. But then, like, a year or two later, they discover, oh, yeah, these guys had a headhunting thing. Well, what the hell's that? They paid players on defense to go out there and purposely hurt their opponents and injure them. Okay, so they didn't get paid bonuses written out for performance. They got paid bonuses under the table for crippling people or hurting them. And Brett Favre would probably have something to say about it. Or as far as I remember, Brett Favre didn't say much about it, but people think that he was one of the victims of these assaults. Okay? So, there you have it. When people feel like they're financially supporting other people, celebrities or athletes or anybody, supporting them, and they're supporting evil people or people with less moral character than themselves, then they don't want to do that. Washington Redskins. Okay, another point. That's been debate's been going on for a long time about the name Redskins. Well, I grew up in that area, Redskins fan. But I can say it's a little, you know, you start thinking, well, what's a red skin? What is it? It's a scalp from a Native American. A scalp, like from their head. Okay? So it's a little brutal and a little vicious, and the owner, Dan Snyder, seems to be a little eccentric. Even around here, Robert Kraft, who everyone used to love, but because he didn't back up Brady initially and seems to backtrack on everything, people are against him. So they see these owners and they see guys that they don't really care for. They see guys that are kind of wishy-washy. Dan Snyder's a big turnoff for Redskins fans. He's an eccentric. So sports teams names. You can say Washington Redskins is the worst one. What's in the NFL? The Chiefs. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not really offensive. The baseball one's the worst. You know, Chief Wahoo, Atlanta Braves. I'm forgetting someone from football, I think, off the top of my head. But the Redskins is the worst one. Okay, that's it. You know, MikeMessier.com for all your Mike Messier needs, wants, and desires. And I'm just another guy with a fucking opinion. But I think I've laid out a kaleidoscope of reasons why I'm not watching NFL football right now, and probably why you're not either, if you're sitting there watching me. And it's an attractive woman going in the bookstore with her keys. Now, if you think about the fact that one of these points alone, like if it was just concussions, we wouldn't give a shit. We'd still be watching. If it was just the steroids or just the drugs or just the personnel conduct, then we'd still be watching. But all these things together add and add and add to the point that you and I have an emotional detachment now that we no longer care. So it's a Sunday, we're out reading books, we're at a Barnes & Noble, we're doing our thing. We're not watching football because we no longer give a flying fuck. Okay? So NFL, Roger Goodell, and all these guys suing each other. I mean, it's more interesting to watch First Take with Molly and Max and Stephen A. than watching the actual games at this point. I don't really like Donovan McNabb being on there. He just seems very kind of all-knowing and smug to me. And I just feel that he condescends to Stephen A. There's something going on there with those two guys. It's weird to me. Talking about First Take. Molly's gorgeous. Great woman. Or looking. I don't know her personally. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the Aaron Andrews controversy from years ago, we could talk about that. You know, now they have a woman commentator on Sunday Night Football. She's trying to, I don't know if they still have, what's his dick? Rex Ryan doing color, but he's horrible at it. These guys are looking at me now because I'm doing my video. So that's about it. It's MikeMessier.com, Mike Messier, and I'll let you go. So Mike Messier, this is why we're not watching the NFL anymore. I hope you enjoyed it. Roger Goodell, you can give me a job. I'll fix your league. See ya.